All right then, good afternoon, everyone. Today is May 14th, 2021. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority being held in Albany and also remotely. We have in attendance Chairman Bradley by telephone.
I am here.
And we have by video Commissioner Fan and Commissioner Ford. We have, staff in attendance. We have for Counsel's Office, Associate Attorney Furring. We have Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Roberts by telephone.
I'm on, thanks.
And myself, Secretary Donahue, in the Albany offices. We have one item on today's calendar. It is agenda number 1448B. It's a request for emergency order of summary suspension. Licensee is Queens OP 1307302. The licensee is Cabo Sports Bar Mexican Grill, Inc. Back again for a return visit. All right, Counsel's Office.
Thank you. So, Alexander Lloyd for Counsel's Office. Counsel's Office submits the licensee, Cabo Sports Bar and Mexican Grill, to the members of the authority for its second emergency summary order of suspension for its retail on-premises liquor license subject to SAPA. It's located at 27111 Union Turnpike, New Hyde Park, New York. Its license was issued April 27, 2018. On May 2nd, 2021, there was an incident. The 105th Precinct NYPD responded after receiving a 911 call regarding an enormous fight that occurred at the location. After much difficulty securing security footage, they were able to tell that approximately 30 people were involved in the fight. It started inside of the premises and was eventually forced outside into the parking lot, both by security and by Mr. Singh, who represented himself as the owner at the time. Shortly after the fighting, there were what was suspected to be multiple shots fired from a car fleeing the scene, and some shells were recovered at the scene on that night. Investigator Stravali made a visit with the 105 Precinct on May 12. During this investigative visit, he identified multiple executive order violations. These included several employees not wearing masks. One of them was the DJ, one was a security guard. They had a person delivering hookah to the tables. One of those persons was not wearing a mask. And there were 2 kitchen staff not wearing face masks. Additionally, there were problems with executive order violations indoors. These included patrons failing to social distance, patrons not being 6 feet apart, patrons not being 12 feet from the DJ, and a patron walking around without a face mask. He also identified a number of ABCL violations. One was that there was a DJ present, which was not in conformance with the application. Additionally, there were security guards present, and Yasir Raza claimed to be the manager at the time, both in non-conformance with their application. Additionally, he observed a number of fire, life, and safety violations. One of these is the unlicensed security of the 3 security guards that were there at the time. One of them, Mr. Morgan, appeared to be unlicensed. Additionally, he observed hookah use without a permit, nicotine hookah. There was no occupancy sign posted. There was an uninspected fire extinguisher, a discharged fire extinguisher, unmounted fire extinguisher, extension cords, unsecured gas, compressed gas tanks, no open electrical box, and illegal hardware on the back door such that it was a sliding vault. Additionally, after speaking with persons on the premises at that time, it became clear that the principal of record was not on the premises at the time, a Miss Kermit Guar. She is the only principal on record with the SLA. The person during the visit was a Mr. Singh. We believe it was a Mr. Sunny Singh, although it is also possible it was a Mr. Russ Singh. During the visit, as I said earlier, there was a manager, a Mr. Yasir Raza, although during a prior inspection, investigators Trivali identified two other managers, a Mr. Mani Singh and a Mr. Suleiman Kazi. Mr. Yasir Raza identified Russ Singh as the person that previously hired him and identified him as the owner of the licensed premises. The totality of that information has caused the SLA to seriously consider that the licensed premises is being availed. Additionally, because of the numerous EU violations, the ABCL violations, and other local regulation violations, it's clear that the principal and the licensee are not adequately supervising the licensed premises. As the secretary said earlier, the second summary suspension case, the first one was back in November. License was suspended November 2020, and was lifted at a full board meeting on February 3rd, 2021. They paid a $25,000 CNC. As part of that CNC, they sent a letter that stated that they would be in compliance going forward and that they had taken several steps to ensure compliance, including signs for employees and patrons telling them they needed face masks. They stopped having a DJ. They were going to make sure that the tables were properly spaced. They were going to stop with security, stop with hookah, fix all of their fire, life, and safety violations, remove this bolt on the back door. These were all issues that investigator Trivali identified the first time in his November visit. It's obviously problematic that none of these were remedied and that they were all observed during this second visit. The licensee cannot claim to be unaware of these executive orders, both because they have been in place for a very long time now and because of this prior visit and prior dealing with the SLA concerning these issues. The executive orders were designed and implemented to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and the licensee clearly cannot be trusted to follow these laws and guidance after this is clearly the second time such severe violations have been identified. At this time, there's no more imminent risk to the public health, safety, and welfare than to permit violations of the executive orders. Therefore, Counsel's Office respectfully requests that the members summarily suspend the license.
All right, then with that, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions?
Alex, do you have any idea the relationship between Mr. Singh and the principal on the license? Because it looks like he was also in charge last time we went there.
Yes.
And I assume subsequently we didn't charge the availing?
That's correct. There was no availing charge previously associated with this licensee. It's unclear at this time exactly what the connection is between the principal and these two individuals, Sunny Singh and Russ Singh. Obviously, that's going to be part of the availing charge and further investigation. But the fact that the principal has never been there during investigation, and the fact that police have confirmed that they've not dealt with her, but they have dealt with these two Singhs previously, demonstrates, obviously, the principal's completely hands-off actions, and the fact that these people are managing the licensed premises in every sort of day-to-day function you could imagine.
Okay, but you're asking me to suspend them because of the shooting. It's more because of that incident, or is it because of the availing? Because I feel like we've already done that once if it were about the availing.
Right. No, the availing is definitely a concern, but I believe it's more the violence plus the executive order violations, plus the availing, which is important because both availing and just the demonstration of such a lack of supervision at this location, plus the prior representation to the board that they were going to remedy all of these issues and follow the executive orders, and that they clearly completely misrepresented that. They didn't remedy any of their problems, and they continue to violate the executive orders.
And the other thing, if I could
Yes.
just jump in, the other
Yep.
thing here is that when Investigator Stavali asks the manager who the owner is, the actual owner is never identified. It's always somebody else. So somebody is hiring the manager who isn't authorized to do that. And there's no accountability. There's indication that this is a serial offender. Beginning in 2019, they actually unilaterally changed the method of operation from a restaurant to a nightclub because they had the same violations back then with security and, DJ and manager, and they simply haven't cured those over the course of time. So there's no, I think it may have been turned over to undisclosed operators even back in 2019. And with the recent shooting and the brawl, now it's just become a very dangerous situation.
Okay, 392J. I'm just trying to look up the case and trying to see who actually signed, if anybody, the letter. But no, you can move on. Thank you.
Right then, Commissioner Ford. Any questions?
Yeah, Alex, you said the hookah, it was nicotine hookah?
Yes.
Okay. DJ's not approved. They are licensed for security guards, but the guards that were there were unlicensed. Is that correct?
The security guards are not part of the method of operation. So they had security guards in non-conformance, and one of the security guards there was unlicensed.
Got it. All right. Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Right, Chairman Bradley, any questions?
More a statement and interpreted what the letter says from the attorney. The letter doesn't say they're going to fix the issues. The letter says that all of the issues that were the result of the other summary, including the executive order violations in the previous summary suspension. And that clearly is a blatant misrepresentation, because it's clear based on the investigators' observations, there was absolutely no effort put in place to fix any of the violations, which, going back to what Counsel Faring said, makes this a very dangerous situation now that violence is involved.
All right.
That's
With
all
that,
I
if
got,
there-
Tom. Thanks.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'm going to call for the vote of the members. First, Commissioner Fan.
Yes, I agree with Chairman that the letter that was submitted, yes, says that they fix all these issues, which clearly is not the case. It's clear that this location continues to pose an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and I vote to summarily suspend this license again.
All right, Commissioner Ford, your vote, please.
Based on the evidence presented by counsel, I vote to summarily suspend this licensee once again.
All right, then Chairman Bradley, your vote.
Based on council's presentation and the submissions, I vote to summarily suspend. The licensee is clearly a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. And on top of that, I think it should be noted that that letter came in from a member of the bar who's a licensed attorney who completely misrepresented the status of his client's establishment in order for us to accept a plea that I never would have accepted had those issues not been clarified, or I should say rectified.
All right, then with that, Chairman, I don't have any other items on the calendar. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm all set. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
All right, with that, this meeting is concluded. Thank you all.